Hello, welcome back to my daily updates from the Silk Road Mountain Race 2024. This must be day 8 now, I think. So let's have a little look at my progress and see who else has finished. So if you remember yesterday, Joe Nation took the win, quickly followed by Tom Schwimberger. And then we had our third place, Rufus. He was kind of in no man's land, really. So all he needed to do was to get it done, and which he did. And in the end, he was about 4 hours behind Tom. You may remember that in the Instagram story that Tom put out there, he basically knew he was safe, so he kind of cruised in. Another 3 or so hours behind Rufus was a little battle between our 4th and 5th place. They were quite close heading into the final kind of major valley and pass. In the end, Ron Roosmalen, he edged Marinder St. Exupéry by around about an hour or so. And then Angus Young, he's battled problems throughout the race, sickness and technical issues with his axis shifter. He's finished in 6th, and I bet he'll be kicking himself. You know, he can probably add up plenty of time, and I'm sure he could have been right up there on the podium had he kept it clean. But yeah, that's part of the Silk Road Mountain Race, and it's not just about pedaling. That's the nice thing about this race. It's not about pedaling. It's about planning, organisation, but most importantly, not getting sick and avoiding problems. And that's what the riders up front, Joe and Tom, seem to have managed to do. So that's the top 6 finished. Before I go any further, again, Redshift Sports, they've been sponsoring most of my race coverage this year. I know some of these products have been used out there. I know Joe, who won the event, had a shock stop seat post. I used it myself, and they do some great stuff, help comfort on these long kind of endurance rides or gravel rides or any kind of riding really. So check those guys out. There's a discount code below, and thanks again to Redshift for all the support. So back to the map. I'll go to Ribe GPS just to show you the section that most of the riders now, the rest of the top 10 are on. And you may remember there's this final climb of Kokkarik. So this is one of the highest points of the race. This year's parkour is pretty much bookended by Kageti and Kokkarik, two pretty much 4,000 meter passes. I think they're about 3,900 or so. High one to start, high one to finish, and a big plateau in the middle. And this valley is a long drag up, and then a 4-hour hiker bike. Basically, it's last year I started on the end of the bonus climbs. I had 2 of the bonus climbs to go, so I would have been approximately. I think I camped on top of there. So where the summit marker is, from there to the finish is about 20 hours ride. Well, it was for me about 25 hours riding, just to give you some kind of perspective. So a big day, or most riders most likely will have to have a little sleep somewhere, because by this point the attrition really does add up. There is some resupply, but yeah, this valley is spectacular. It's the kind of place you just want to stop and camp and enjoy a few days. It's a really, really cool finish to the race, actually, and then you finish by a resort on the beach on the shore of Lake Izuk Kul. Pretty cool. On the tracker, you can see the rest of the riders. Next rider to finish will be Vlad. He's about to hit the tarmac, so he's got about 10 miles left, and he's ahead of Patrick Staubach. Again, not mentioned him too much, but he kind of snuck into the top 10, and he's kind of held that position. And then a big shout out to Hannah Simon, our leading female, but she's gradually worked her way up the field. She's riding alongside David Nichols. I guess they've got the 4-hour hiker bike still to do. Probably going to be about 6 hours for them now to the finish. So whether they're going to race it out, whether they're going to stick together and just get through it remains to be seen. But either way, Hannah's going to finish in the top 10. Solid race from her, and she's had some problems with her pedal, if you remember yesterday. And then Martin, he's finished he's almost finished Silk Road, and then he's finished Atlas Mountain Race and the Hellenic Mountain Race. Those are the 2 other races in the Mountain Race series. So big shout out to Martin. He also runs a Mason ISO, which is one of the bikes I ride, and doing a great job. And then Richard Deglise and Artis Zugs, they're just entering that valley. Artis is just resupplying at the moment. So he is going to, he's going to have probably another 20 or so hours, I would have thought, to the finish. So I imagine he'll sleep somewhere tonight. I guess Martin, Richard, and Artis, unless they're doing a big all-nighter, they're going to have to probably sleep somewhere. Hannah, it's 3 o'clock in the UK. So it's about 9 o'clock. Yeah, so yeah, Hannah will probably, Hannah and David, I imagine, will push through tonight. I got there about a similar time. I finished about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, so I suspect they'll do the same. Martin and Richard, unless they fancy an all-nighter, they're going to have to sleep somewhere. And then I guess tomorrow, this kind of group on the bonus climbs, I suspect they should be able to get done tomorrow. So yeah, I'll report back and see if those guys have made it home. So before I finish, only a shorter one now, because obviously the leaders have finished. I've done all the race or the route kind of intel. But the Silk Road Mountain Race Instagram page, I mean, they've got some amazing photographers, and to be frank, it's just such a beautiful place. I've really kind of been missing being there this year. This is the old Soviet road, and you can see in the far distance, just where my cursor is, the little white tents. That is CP2. And behind those mountains in the background is China. This is the old Soviet road. It looks so much more spectacular in this light. When I was there, it was bright sunshine, which is amazing, but I don't know, it's just got some moodiness about it in these shots. It's just pretty spectacular, and I think you can see just from the angle of the way the rider's pushing there how steep that climb is. Photos don't really give it justice, but it's kind of, given the altitude as well, it's kind of like 2 steps forward, wait for a bit, then move again, just catching your breath all the time. Until you've been to Kyrgyzstan, those mountains are just something else. And there's your typical yurt at the checkpoint. I'd imagine that's a sleeping yurt, and they seem to have the big communal yurt for all the riders to eat food. That's the road up there. It looks moody. Looks really moody and really spectacular, and I kind of really wish I was there, to be honest. And if you saw my desktop at the start of this, before I fired up the search engine or the browser, that sunset lit photo is of this track going from the other direction, so it looks a bit bleaker in this. So yeah, that is the basically the area parallel to the Chinese border. The river crossings, I rode through them last year. They look deep and they look cold. So yeah, pretty amazing. And then there's some shots of the finish. So this is obviously second place. He finished, I think he was about 4 hours behind Joe in the end. So yeah, Tom led for a lot of the race, but Joe got him just in the final couple of days. And there's some photos of him. You know, the Kyrgyz media love it. It's actually, these races, they bring, when you think about it, they bring a lot of tourism, a lot of riders spending money in very small villages. So it really does help the local economy. And, you know, me talking about it, you know, the photos going out, it really does sort of boost tourism in Kyrgyzstan, and they're trying to kind of boost that. So yeah, here's Tom. Again, lots of river crossings this year. Last year I didn't really have much. It seemed quite dry. But obviously you've seen the storms, so there's a lot more water around. And you may remember back in the early days, we talked about Tom mending his battery and fixing the connector. And as you can see, he got this tiny bit of metal out of one of his cables and just taped it to the battery, and it seemed to work. So yeah, there's a hack for you. If you're running Axis, you're running on Tour Divide or something like that, and it fails, just try all your contacts, and maybe that's the hack and the fix for you. Here's Rufus. He was third, and if we read through the text in the post here, this is something I never picked up in the coverage. He did drop off quite a lot. I thought he had a big sleep, but basically he was really sick. When you're sick in Kyrgyzstan, it tends to be quite explosive. So yeah, basically he was stuck on top of the old Soviet road. It's not a place you want to get stuck. Had to wait for 9 hours. We're talking over 3,000 meters, probably 3,500 meters, just lying in his bivvy. So fair play to him for getting over that and carrying on. He could have easily scratched at Narin, but yeah, he didn't. He pushed on and he came third. So well deserved, and a great ride from Rufus. So there we go. There's some shots of Rufus. And finally, I will just hit the stories and let's see what they've got. So that's what you see, a lot of wildlife, not even wildlife, livestock. There's Tom finishing. Big hug from Nelson. There's his battery again. The standard wet feet going slightly mouldy and horrible, disgusting. It can be quite painful. So yeah, you can just see kind of the the week etched on their faces. There's Rufus again, and some really amazing shots from out on the track. Just spectacular, really is spectacular. There's Marin, so he was 5th in the end. Solid ride from him. Just remember, Marin has actually ridden to Kyrgyzstan via Morocco, Greece, and then he rode to Kyrgyzstan, and he's now riding home after. He's got a strict no-fly policy, so he's ridden to all his events this year. So good on Marin for doing that, and congratulations on another solid ride. So there we go. That's it for today. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll do probably another couple of updates over the next few days. Then I'm off on a little adventure of my own. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my other stuff. There's probably a few more races I'll cover later in the year. So subscribe so you don't miss those, and I'll catch you all soon with my next update.